Hi there. Donna and I are sitting here in sunny Florida a week after Hurricane Irma, so you may hear some noise in the background here as they're fixing a roof next door. But we also thought that it would be great for you to have a little bit of, put a smile on your face, because you may be watching this with snow outside. So we wanted to go over some tidbits that might help you be a great meet referee. Even if you've experienced that before, you may be brand new, so this may be a really big help to you. So Donna, why don't you start off?
Well, we know that meet refereeing in college is different than a JO meet. The first thing I like to do when I arrive at the site is go and introduce myself to both the head coaches. And then I like to find out who the meet director is for that meet and discuss with them the scoring, the flashing, the inquiry process, how that's going to work at this meet. It might be different if you're a walk-around meet ref or if you are a judging meet ref. The next thing I like to do is check the score sheets for the correct events and the correct spelling of the judges' names and their ratings. It's much easier to correct this at the beginning before scores are entered into the score sheet.
I think it's also good for the meet ref, you know in advance if you are the meet ref, to make sure that you printed off a copy of the meet referee checklist. That was done so that every meeting would be done exactly the same. And don't forget, just because it may be later in the season, you make an assumption that everybody's been through this over and over again, that the players are not always the same. There's a different mixture of judges at different meets. So please make sure that you follow that procedure from the beginning, the first meet of the season, to the very end.
In some places they do give you the meet ref checklist, but I, as always, try to carry a couple extra copies with me. Remember that as you go through the checklist, it needs to be signed and turned into the score table after you've had your meeting.
30 minutes prior to the meet, you should start your judges meeting. And one thing that people don't think about, now we've already asked you to make sure you have the checklist with you, but one thing some people don't realize is that as a meet ref, you should stand during that meeting. It just gives it a little more professionalism rather than just sitting around and just being like around a kitchen table. So you want to stand up. It just gives you that leadership position. And make sure you allow everybody to introduce themselves, what event they're on, where they're from, just very short and succinct. And then take the list and start going through the things. You don't have to necessarily spend a lot of time on each thing, but you must cover each of the items on there. You want to talk about the logistics of the meet. Make sure that if it's televised, that they know that it's televised and how that's going to operate. You also want to pass around the score sheets so that they can double check their spelling of their name and their rating as well. So you just want to go through each one. At this point, I'm not going to go through each one that's on the checklist because that's something you can do in advance. But go through each one, check it off, and then sign it and take it to the scoring table on your way out to the beginning of the meet so that they know that you're telling them that everything on here has been covered.
And Evelyn, did the coaches help write that list?
I'm glad you asked that. Not only did they ask it, but they were the ones that wanted this done. We submitted the order and what was to be covered. They added, they subtracted. So this is a joint summary of everything the coaches and Donna and I felt needed to be done. So Donna, why don't we talk a little bit about the differences between being a walking meet ref or a judging meet ref? Because they're not, I mean, they're done differently.
Yes, and that's a very good point. When you are a walking meet ref, besides having the meeting and being an intermediate between the coaches and the judges, you need to be judging every routine that you possibly can. In fact, in my case, I sometimes script them and don't even have a score. I just have that information for when a coach comes to talk to me. As judging meet ref, you're not able to do that. So you must focus on your own event and just make sure that that keeps moving.
Donna, do you have any more tips for a walking meet ref that might help?
Well, I do think one of your responsibilities would be to, if a coach approaches you with an inquiry or just with a concern, to try and move out of the line of sight of your judges and let them concentrate on their event. Again, if you do get an inquiry, just hold that until the end of the rotation. Don't go up and slap it on the judge's desk and distract them while they're trying to judge the gymnast that's competing at that time.
Good point. It bothers me whenever somebody's standing behind me and I'm wondering what it is they want. Yeah.
When an inquiry is given to the meet referee and they take it to the head judge, then as a meet ref, what do you do, Evelyn?
As a meet referee, I take it to the event, to the chief judge on the event, but I make sure that I don't give it to them until that competition for that team is finished. So try not to go over and put it down on the table when there's still one or two gymnasts to go. And then ask them, I usually, if I'm a walking meet ref, will call the second judge over so that we can expedite it as quickly as we can, and allow them to talk while I listen, and hopefully they're going to write down as many details as they can about what Judge 1 did and what Judge 2 did, and come to a conclusion of how they're going to solve it. But you want to get as many deductions and reasonings as you can, because as a meet ref you have to go back to the coach and you want to be able to explain it correctly to them. So Don, I think it would be wise for us to have just a short conversation about conferences. We know that they can only be called for two reasons. One, score out of range, or an impossible start value. And the chief judge is the only one that can call the conference. And when it should occur, it needs to be done quickly.
Well, and you need to find a neutral site where you might meet, where you don't have coaches or volunteers in earshot of what is going on. The head judge needs to lead the conference, the support judge needs to be listening and then putting their input in. When you go back to your seat, what should you do?
Even if there's not a score change or a start value change, both judges need to reflash. It's the only way we're communicating to the coaches of what the result of the conference was. We have so many meets now that are being televised. So when I said earlier it needs to be done quickly, I'm going to re-emphasize that, because that's taking up TV time. So get the conference started, get it over as quickly as you can, coming up with the correct result.
And I might caution you to watch your body language when you go back to your seat.
Good idea. You mean if I didn't agree with the chief judge, I shouldn't roll my eyes on the way back, or?
Probably not, because
right.
You might find yourself on YouTube.
Yeah. Everybody in the audience has the ability to film now, so we have to be careful.
Hey, what is this with a yellow card?
A meet referee needs to know that the new rule now is that the meet referee has to write up a little summary of why it was given, who it was given to, and it has to be noted on the score sheet as well that a yellow card was issued.
There is a checkbox down by the team score that needs to be checked. And then
the summary that I spoke about has to be sent to you, the national assigner, as well as the regional assigner. So there's a copy there.
And from there, the national assigner will send it to the ethics committee for the coaches.
So Donna, I think it would be really good if we went over video review, because I'm sure that the majority of judges have not been involved with one. So it's one of those things that would be good for us to talk about. When it will occur, why will it occur, etc. So Would you like to take that?
I would be glad to. And there are a few changes this year, so it's good that you brought that up. A video review occurs after an inquiry has been denied.
So an inquiry has to happen first.
That is correct. And each team is allowed the maximum of one video review per meet. So they occur at the end of the meet. The meet referee will now have a new job this year. They will have to time when the final score has been flashed, or if there is an inquiry on the final event, when that score, the inquiry has been given to the coach. So they're going to make a note of the time. The coaches have 5 minutes to get their video review paper and their video queued up. They may use their own team video, or they may use television production. The new change this year is
And they can do slow motion.
and they can do slow motion, that's right. Yes. And the new change is that this will be occurring on the competition floor. So
that means that the judges probably have already gone back to the judges' room to check scores. And
it means don't change your clothes yet.
Okay, and then we have to come back to the competition floor. And that makes sense because it may be a video that can't be taken back quickly. So I understand.
Yes. And so the 3 people that will be involved in that are the meet referee, the head judge, and the panel judge. If the meet referee is not a walk-around meet referee, they're a judging meet referee, and they're involved on that event, then the next highest rated official will be involved. So there are always 3 people.
Okay, so what can be requested on a video review?
I'm glad you asked.
Okay.
That. In fact, I'm going to read it right from the rules modification. A review must be specific to the performance or the non-performance of a particular value part, combination of skills, or neutral deductions, such as out of bounds or time. Reviews may not be used to evaluate a question of execution, composition, or up to the level. And Evelyn, what kind of deduction is there now if this happens?
I studied 1/10 from the team score.
So that is new. Very good. You win the prize. So Evelyn, at the end of the meet, what's your favorite thing to do?
I love to do routine summaries. No, truthfully, coaches can put in the routine summaries. You have to remember this is the only way of actually having a conversation, so to speak, with the judges. So this is their way of getting input, and judges should not be insulted by being asked to do them. But be prepared. Take as many good notes as the routine is finished on why you did what you did with your score, so that when you do get a routine summary, you and your assistant judge, or if I'm the assistant judge, I sit down with the chief judge, and there are places on there where you write the element and you put your deductions for the element, judge 1, judge 2, and you want to make sure that those deductions add up to what your score was, so that you can share that with them. I know that sometimes we get a little upset because we want to change our clothes and get on the road to go home, but remember, this is their only way of having a conversation with us, so to speak. So it has been suggested that they should ask the coaches to fill these out in advance to save time, but the coaches actually want you to write down what it is you think you saw, because that may also give them an idea of the skill may not have been completed the way they thought it had been completed. But again, don't be insulted. Understand they just want some input. They want to make their gymnasts the best they can. They want them to perform to their best ability, and so they need that extra help.
So Evelyn, if as a judge I wrote down leap, the gymnast did a split leap, and I wrote 05 for legs, would that help you as a coach?
It would help me more if you said the leg was too low, the leg was bent, but just to write legs, yeah, she has to. So the coach knows that. The coach wants to know what particular problem was. So if you can start to develop in your shorthand something that would tell you that it was a bent knee or the legs were uneven, that's what you should write down.
Okay. And I know I take notes after the routine if I have time, because
Absolutely.
Sometimes during the routine you just don't have enough time.
Not only that, it'll help you remember the routine.
Correct. Write these. I know you're in a hurry, and do you think you should write these in shorthand?
No, absolutely not. The coaches may not be able to read that, and again, they're wanting to have communication from you. So please write the element out as best you can. Try not to use abbreviations. So write out what the element was and what the deduction was and how much each judge took for it.
And make sure it adds up.
And make sure it adds up. I will tell you that this is probably the #1 complaint during the season, is that the routine summaries are not, don't give enough information and they don't add up.
I would agree. So Evelyn, when you get home from a meet, then you're all finished, right?
Oh no. At that point you need to go on the site and do self-reflection. And we try to call it self-reflection versus an evaluation of yourself, but it is better for you to go in and say, was I properly prepared? Was I in the correct uniform? So it is a self-evaluation. Plus it's a good list of what the expectations are for you as a collegiate judge. The coaches also go in and do an evaluation. So this is a good opportunity. The meet referee also goes in and does an evaluation of all the judges, and there's an opportunity there for meet referees or judges to make comments about the meet. So it's a great way for us to communicate. And many people say, what do we ever do with these? So you all need to know that Donna and I and the president of the Coaches Association, Bobby Cesaric, have a phone conversation every Wednesday at 7 p.m. and we go over the evaluations, the ones from the coaches as well as the ones from the judges. And it's been a great way for us to eliminate some problems in the future because of some things that have come up. So please do not forget to go in and do that. How about some more comments on that?
Well, I do think that you need to know the coach's evaluation mirrors your evaluation very similarly. They also make comments on things that we can do better, such as flashing our scores, or changes have come up like the UTL cards from those evaluations.
I would venture to tell all of you to relax. What do we do with these? If it's a repetitive situation, or if we see a pattern, then, or if it's something that really is a big issue, you will get a phone call. And so that not because we want to call somebody on the carpet, but to help you prevent this from occurring in the future. But Don, I think it would be safe to say that the coaches' comments the most often are on judges not flashing their scores at the same time as the start values are flashed, so that they all happen at exactly the same time. So whatever you can do to have that happen, please do. As well as the UTL cards, making sure that those are flashed. If you took it, it needs to be flashed, because they do pay attention to that as well.
That is correct.
Now, I forgot where we're going to start. We're going to do some outtakes.
I was like, so when an inquiry comes to you as a meet ref,
Just start over.
okay, so we know that a conference can occur if the two scores are out of range, if
Impossible start value.
impossible start value.
That's pretty
Is it?
We're going
Wait,
to
start it.
We're going to start that one again.
I'm probably guilty of this, but I try not to write out a BHP because they may not understand that's a back handspring. So try to write it out as much as you can, the element.
That's because I write BHS for backhand spring. BHP. What are you writing?
Hope that was.
Let's do that one again.
Let's try that one.
Okay. Take two.